the reason I'm a good businessman is because I play outside the framework. You got your perspective. I just want to be happy. Don't you want to be happy? What can I answer for you, my man?
Okay. Do we have is there a limit? Yeah, there's a limit of time, right?
I mean, I'm going to try to get to everybody, but.
So look, I mean, everyone's going to kind of hear my business issues, but art and furniture has been sold through galleries.
Yes.
Most of the time. Well, I'm starting to change that trend, but not just art in the sense that it's like, you know, $1,000 art. No, we're talking about things that are escalating into the hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
And so now I'm trying to create, okay, so I've been successful in doing that. We built a business from 0 to now just a little over 2 million this year, which is awesome.
It's amazing.
But through traditional PR, I'm finding, dude, I've been in Architectural Digest, Fast Company, all the magazines, but that's starting to reach its limit, right? So how do I increase sales for the studio to keep growing
without PR?
Yeah, without PR through social media.
Yeah.
So once I got into GaryVee, we started to really go heavy on social, started creating more content. Now actually have a full-time video team that's in-house that's doing. So we're creating a show and also doing a podcast, basically doing everything that you've been saying to do. The tricky part is to get these consumers, these people that are buying high-end, spending $60, $70, $80, $100,000 to buy directly from us and to grow that. Because a lot of people are using interior designers or architects,
sure.
So I'm reaching out to them. They know us really well. But how do I go even further? Like, how do I take a 2 million to 10 million to, And so that's where, and I feel like it's personal brand building. I mean, it's my name.
100%.
So I just have to build that part and then see the sales.
I've been producing content every day for 13 years.
Right.
Like, only in the last 18 months has it gotten to the critical enough scale where, like, it feels like it's something different than what you're up to right now. Meaning, like, I had a base. You've known me for a while. Like, I had a base, but it's nowhere close to what it is now. I mean, when you're building a brand, guys, Nike almost went out of business.
Yeah, back when
like, really close.
Went to court.
So, like, I don't think, I think Fernando, it's super simple, man. Like you haven't even started. Like, the answer is what you're doing. Like, right. Content, acting like a media company and running ads and creating content, and like, it's all the same. Like, when TV is a good deal, like Procter & Gamble, like, you buy Tide and like Crest toothpaste because television was a good deal. And the companies that figured it out and could afford it, and like Schlitz beer and Schaefer beer and Ballantine's Ale in the 30s, like, your great-great-grandfather drank that because radio was a good deal in 1937. Like, the good deal right now, in my opinion, is the 7 platforms that live on this. When you take it to the step 2 of actually becoming the media company and not just an advertiser, right? And that's where, like, a CPG ice cream can do both, whereas, like, hemp and cannabis can't. And, we're all stretched thin, think about your family business with the catering. Like, when I was 28 years old, like, all these kids are like, it hasn't happened yet. I'm like, I was packing boxes of wine and shipping it in styrofoam in the basement of a liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey when I was 29 years old. Like, so you're gonna struggle to get tears out of me that you're 4 months into your t-shirt brand and you're not supreme yet. I think you just have to put in the work for a significant amount of time, because you're absolutely right. My entire thesis is that Architectural Digest and Fast Company in 1996, those 2 articles would have changed your whole career. That just doesn't.
2014 it did.
Great.
So now it's not anymore. So I plateaued with PR. So I came here actually to try to hire VaynerMedia to help us in the next stage.
And good news, because Nick knows this. Like, I'm spending all my time trying to figure out how to help, like, create a business to service SMB. We don't know how to take money here from Vayner unless you're paying us like $2 million. Like, we have things, but we're not good at taking it, which is bad for a business. So I'm, like, spending a lot of time on it. But the reason we haven't done it yet, and the reason I'm hesitant, and why this took 5 years to, like, in my head before I did it, is I'm not gonna take somebody's money unless we can deliver. And at a small base, it's just better to do a lot of things internally. Like, the more I realize, I'm like, oh, it's gonna end up being consultant, or this really works. Like, you pay $10,000, I'm watching all the people that email Nick, and then he tells me, or I see in the Facebook group, like, There's been some crazy what's been like, you're even closer to it.
You've got the guy Joe Mullins coming in November. He was in the first group.
Okay, and
you confirmed kind of the personal brand. I think he invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars in his personal brand in year one, and he's the #1 player in the space. And he couldn't be happier with the time he spent here.
Yeah, so like I think the biggest thing I can tell you is that you have to make as much content as possible. And you have to spend this is where people get crazy. This is a very interesting, subtle insight. People take pride in organic reach because they think there's something special about getting good organic reach in social when the ads are underpriced. So like I literally would, like if you didn't have I know you do because I know some of our limited interactions, but like if you didn't have an Instagram account, right, and something as great as like taco and food and Jersey Shore, like I'd be like, you don't even need to build one, just run ads on Instagram. You probably, it's funny, let me rephrase. I do think having a nice little base for I now think people's Instagram account is PR. I feel like people search Google to find your Instagram account to get a read on what you're about. So I think organic content's value now is almost more like brand and PR. Like it's a cost, like you should spend money on it just to have like a foundation. But that should be 20% of your energy and money, and 80% should be figuring out the ads that drive your business. Sotheby's and Christie's sell $1 million items on Instagram.
That's why I believe First Dibs is doing it.
So selling $60,000 and $80,000 items on Instagram's a cakewalk. It's about running ads against people that live in Malibu.
Yeah, but G,
Yeah.
know that converting a customer at a $60,000 to $100,000 price point is a tough thing to do in a Facebook or Instagram environment.
It's tough to do, yes.
Right?
But not as tough as people think. Meaning, I think, I'll explain. Give me 1 second because I want to get this off because I don't want to forget it. I think what we're about to roll out with volume method is really going to be a big factor. Here's what I mean by that. I think it's easier to close a $60,000 person if you make 497 pieces of content and run micro media, because the reason it's hard to close somebody for 60K is people go broad because they want to like lower their CPM or like reach as many people. The reality is to hit somebody 60K, you almost have to like do a 1 minute rant, like specifically like to 15 type people in theory that are likely to buy it, and overpay for 5,000 people to see it that don't have any interest to get to the 15.
I do it in Facebook, Target Upper East Side where I know most of the pieces go, or Tribeca.
And then it's Upper East Side, African American male who works in tech. Then it's Upper East Side, 3rd generation trust fund baby, and you're making a reference to Ibiza.
And add a layer with a partner, a Philippe Klein, a watch company that's valuable, right? Add that contextual relevance.
The place where I've seen that, it's funny, Nick, that one's brought me a lot of like non-results because so many people are following things from an aspirational standpoint. But buying first party data of purchase intent or things of that nature, or creating lookalike audiences on whatever data you already have, it's been interesting. I often say that, but I'm starting to peel back a little bit.
You know what he's saying there?
Yeah, because if you're a fan of Philippe,
Yeah.
right? Like you think you're high, but so many people are aspirational and they're following high net worth brands, but they're not in consideration set. So you're wasting media dollars because you're not really getting to something. This is where really knowing your craft though. Like I know a lot about wine. So somebody may say, oh, do Opus 1, but I know I can do like Romani Conti Latache. Like you know enough about like comp artists or, so there's like if you can get nerdy about what you do, that's always just a very important insight. But I think it's content too. I think one of the, but it's interesting about content. I think a lot of people that try to replicate my model aren't able to get away from the business goal. So like, if you're doing content, you need to act as if you're Architectural Digest, not Pablo Picasso, and people struggle with that. Like, it's the intent behind the content. Are you actually trying to replace the B2B magazine or the B2C magazine or program? Or are you subtly still doing some version of a commercial wrapped up in content? And I think that's, for example, we're about to start a wine project. So my lovely partner in crime is here. I would want us to act more like Wine Spectator than QVC. It's why Wine Library TV worked. You know, when I was a store owner, but I really took, and I thought I was gonna do QVC. Like, I tell people a lot, like the origin story is like, I'm about to do QVC, and as soon as the camera went on, I'm like, oh, I need to do like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous or something. Like I just knew that I couldn't do QV, like it wasn't gonna work. Like if I was just selling. Like I knew that there would, you know, I knew my team would pick 4 wines a show. I knew inevitably I would like some of them, but what was really interesting, it got so clean. By episode 50, all the way to 1,000, I never had a wine on the show that we had more than 5 cases of. I completely went content because I didn't want, it was a lose-lose situation. If I had 200 cases of it, first of all, I was so committed to show, I could pan it and then it would be very difficult to sell. Or I would say it's awesome, some kid on the wine team quits and just tells everybody, oh, he's just peddling wine, we had 200 cases of that Zinfandel. I didn't want to create the exposure. So as you get into content, wherever you are on it, I think the part that people struggle with is the intent. When I make content, I am literally in Wikipedia nonprofit mode. You guys know. Like I'm very comfortable making a piece of content of like, buy my sneaker. Like I'm very comfortable to sell when I want to sell, but I'm not disguising selling when I'm putting out content. I saw his sneakers. You know, super important. You reviewing another artist's gallery in a video and giving them love because you genuinely like their work is probably the most significant thing you can do for your business. That's a brain. But then what you're doing is you're becoming the artist whisperer to a community, not selling your.
Yeah, I don't want to sell. I mean, you can't sell $100,000.
So you need to build trust.
Right.
You know?
I also would like to create less friction in the purchase, right? Because everything's custom. Somebody sees a work of art, they're like, okay, I want that, but it's in some other iteration.
Well,
so
well.
They have to email, they have to set up with our team.
Yeah, but, and? Like, what are you gonna replace that with? Augmented reality? Like there's inherent friction in one-off. I actually think you lean into your friction. So I would go the other way. Inherently, if I was making
anything online, you have to reach out to us.
Yeah, like I would have like if it's 100,000, you should have like a coffee with everybody. That should be
yeah, and I do.
good. Like, but all the digital stuff should be leading to the coffee.
Yeah, totally.
See where I'm going?
Yeah.
Instead of like making it feel, you know, where everybody goes with it. Oh, well, do it online. That. Nobody who's buying a $10 item.
How are some of these websites doing very well? Like First Dibs is doing very well. They're selling a lot of online at a significant price.
How much?
How much are the prices? All the way up into the millions.
Are they a platform?
Yeah.
So they're taking consignment.
Yeah, basically. So I put my products on there.
Yeah.
People come from all over the globe. They buy and then.
Because they have the attention. Same reason eBay. Like they spent the money, whatever I don't know the platform.
Yeah, oh, really?
Whatever they did to build their brand or customer acquisition or whatever, they became a marketplace, and everybody goes there. So they're doing really well because, first of all, they're doing really well because marketplaces when they hit it really.
Yeah, if we're talking about going into the future trying to sell stuff, like nobody's really going to want to come to a retail store or.
I don't believe that.
Gallery.
I really don't.
Really?
I think that nobody's going to want to come there if there isn't added value to go there versus what they think they can do online. Right? So like, I think people want to do more than ever because they want to show people they're doing it. People go to wineries and hike and yoga retreat and why do you think all these weird museums are popping up? People just want to take the photo in the blue balls or in the sprinkles or like we are in full PR mode of ourselves and we are now living our lives for the Instagram photo. People are literally planning their Saturdays predicated on the picture that they can put on. So I actually think if you made your gallery, if I had a gallery, I would just make one humongous thing that everybody wanted to just come and take a picture of.
Build a tiny house next
That's
to
it.
Or have it in the gallery. Yeah.
Like put people in jail for like 24 hours. Like they come into your gallery and they get locked up. And that would work. That's how, you see where I'm going? People will use online because it's lack of friction for something that they don't value doing physically. But if you can give them something of value physically, they'll do that. We'll keep bouncing. Go ahead.
So essentially.
Real quick, I apologize. I think your website should literally be a complete and utter gateway drug to have a meal with you. You'll sell a lot of $100,000 things. Just a better use of your time.
We got so good at the music production side, especially my partner, that when we started putting out our sounds and free stuff, drum kits and stuff, like all the, like, literally it's a sound that sounds like this. And then they put it together with like something that's like a,
Yep.
that's like,
Yep.
you know? So essentially we sold all the different sound kits and stuff, and we took advantage of Facebook groups. Because everybody in Facebook groups is spamming, check out my SoundCloud. It's like the weirdest, like.
Yeah, I know it is.
So, but for us, we're like, hey, how about you come get some free resources? So we grew really, really fast, collected emails. Nobody even knew what marketing was in our space. But what happened is that we got to like kind of like that 2 million a year point, and we're profiting, you know, $75K a month now at this point, because we really fixed our profits too. Now I'm trying to figure out what are some levers, and I have some ideas for it, but what are some levers to get to, like, you know, the 8-figure point, or to go at least past this point, because we've been here for, you know, a bit.
So what are you selling, kits still?
Yeah, sound kits. We've added on courses and stuff, and we've tried to evolve the product. So the product's gone from 47 to now the next one we're going to try at 497. It's the highest we've ever tried. It seems like the spike in price has always been something that's raised our revenue. Just keep raising prices, making the product better. We've had this problem to where evergreen sales will sit at a little bit under 100K, but then we'll launch and we'll do like $250,000 in 4 days. So, and then, you know, we sell a certain amount of packs, and then we take it
So
down.
I think, you know, the model that you're running is kind of like that classic internet marketing model, you know, that like kind of really got into fame in the years of like 2000 to 2015. I think the thing that you can layer is more content, more brand. That's how you grow. You're in sales. And what you need to layer it with is brand. Like, you know, so like I've watched so many people find the business model where they've got a price, they've got launches, they've got that whole model down. It's funnel, it's landing page optimization, it's CAC, it's LTV, it's all that. It's amazing, it's fine, it's really good. It, you know, gets people to a certain level, but then they're in the sales business, not in the brand business. Like a lot of people that fall in love with that model don't think about their logo. Don't think about their content. Don't think about reinvesting in swag. Don't think about putting out a pod, you know? They don't do brand. Like this is why I'm always like, watch what I do, watch what I do, watch what I do. Like, and it's because so much of what I do is predicated on brand, because that is the ultimate leverage. So I think putting out content, like recording sessions, like using your, you know, your growth in the space and building relationships. I mean, you're in the best place on earth. Atlanta's the best place. Like, so just tapping into younger artists and doing collaborations and then running ads against their fan base. And there's a lot you could be doing, but a lot of it needs to now be less about math and more about art.
Gotcha. So what I was kind of thinking on that, because I have been hearing you talk about
Yep.
that and trying to
Yep.
go into that space. So I was thinking about letting the team still do the launches once every 3 months, so we have that revenue, and then me and my partner are good at building out the new team to like go forward with that. Is it good to still keep that alive?
I like that, and honestly, like my biggest concern is that you're making $75,000 a month. Like you need to be pouring that back into business. Like I'm desperately curious what's happening with that 75K.
Yeah.
Because if it's going into your pockets to like into your lifestyle, that's bad.
Gotcha.
And that's what every kid does. That's why people don't build businesses. That's why people have moments.
And so I'm having a moment that kind of reminds me of what you talked about with AdWords being, you know, 5 cents a click and stuff
Yep.
like that. Right now, Facebook Messenger for us is, I mean, it's getting 87% open rate, and I have a list of 30,000. I'm like, okay, I've been doing marketing for 4 years, I've never seen it. And,
That's right.
And it's one click, get their email too.
That's
it's
right.
Not even,
It's insanely good.
yeah, and I'm trying to, is it something that, so I'm a little worried about Facebook building this huge list and then like, oh, we don't do that anymore.
Well, that's life.
Is it still good to like go ham at it and just,
You always squeeze the out of an orange that's full.
gotcha, that's what I was thinking,
And then when it's empty, you go find a pear,
gotcha.
which is harder to squeeze. And then you hope a grapefruit comes along, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, like email used to be 90% open rates for me. It's not anymore. Google AdWords were 5 cents a click. It's not anymore. Like I'm unemotional, like it's amazing. It's really, I'm really glad you asked the question. People do this all the time. Like people get so emotional about it going away, they don't take advantage of it when it's there. Crush MySpace when it's MySpace. And then make sure you're good on Twitter and Facebook when that's happening. Like Instagram, do you know how many people are gonna be vanished when Instagram starts to slide? Everybody's pot committed. The whole world right now is pot committed. I'm like sitting and laughing. I'm like, oh man, I like want it to secretly like disappear. Because I think people would die. Like people be like, what? And I'd be like, cool, thank God we have all these other things.
So what we try to do, I'd just get your opinion on this. We try to move it around.
Yeah.
Is that good to do? Like try
It
to
is.
keep it on different
But
platforms?
when you have something like Facebook Messenger, and kudos to you for like going in on that, squeeze the shit out of it. But you can also extract those people's cells and emails
That's
and
what I'm
yeah,
doing. It's one click. It's like I've never seen anything like it.
it's really good.
Yeah. And for us, like you can send audio to like me talking real quick, or
You need
sound.
you need to invest in your business.
Super hard.
You need to invest in your business. The profit margin you're making needs to go back into the business on things that don't bring you short-term ROI. That's how you build something from 2 to 10.
Gotcha.
That. Right? I took Wine Library from 3 to 60, and I was paying myself $76,000 a year. 67, 82, you know? Discipline.
What,
Let me keep bouncing. Do you have a question?
No, I have a present.
Well, that's very sweet. I like it already. Can I open it in front of you?
Sure.
How was your trip?
That was good.
Yeah? Why don't we, I want to keep it going. What can I answer for you?
So, in our health brand,
I love that. Oh, this is good. I will absolutely wear this. Thank you, my friend. I will wear this Sunday. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he saw you at the Browns game. With
Yes,
Cleveland there,
yes.
And he goes, he doesn't have his hat.
It's
I
awesome.
think he has a note in there too for you.
In here, thank you. Go ahead.
So, since my wife started the company in 2012, we've been able to double year over year.
Yes.
Everything. So,
Give me 1 second.
2017, we ended up around just under 5 million.
Thank you, brother.
All direct to consumer
Yep,
commerce.
yep.
And this year we started off on a solid track to hit 8 figures, and it just kind of died off.
Why?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Like all of our website conversions, like what got cut in half. And
The conversions got cut in
just
half?
Like, yeah, we were averaging 10 at add to cart and at 6.25 at checkout or
Did you,
final checkout.
and did you change the media you were spending? Were you getting less qualified leads?
See, we were spending a lot on Facebook at the time, and we were spending 150, 200K a month on Facebook, plus a lot less on Google and everything. But and we cut a lot of that Facebook back.
Why?
Because the direct ROI was under like 1 to 1.4.
You cut it back before the 6.25, or that's what made you cut it back?
No, we cut it back after that. So we're getting good conversions on the website, but the ROAS that we were spending from our Facebook ads,
Yep.
like when we
How many different pieces of content were you running?
we were running, well, see, that was the thing too, is we were running probably 20 different ad sets to multiple, we had 60 SKUs, as I mentioned. And so our ads.
Just to get everybody on the same page, for this white sneaker, for his sneaker, we had certain ads that were costing us $62 to get somebody to buy and some that were $12. The thing that nobody has really talked enough about, and this is really where I'm going,
Sure.
is the sheer amount of content. Here's what everybody does. So I'm yelling for 5 years because it's so good that you could be a dope and it works. Right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't know what the you were doing day one and Facebook was returning and you're like, oh, Gary's probably right. Right? Like that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Then it gets more competitive. Changes. What everybody does then is they take their 20 pieces of content, it gets 20, and they got 400 cohorts and what have you, and they're like, oh, Facebook's not as good anymore, let's stop. Instead of making 800 more pieces of content. Facebook can be better today than 3 years ago if you're better at content and copy and matching it against your targeting.
Gotcha.
Got it?
Right. Okay.
That's it. That's the answer to your
That makes
question.
sense.
And then there's Instagram swipe ups, and then there's Messenger.
Right.
Like-
When we've
and-
been working on Messenger, like doing stuff through it, and we've mostly been using it to send people to when my wife does a live with educational
Yep.
content and everything else. And all of a sudden, I happened to click on something. It was like we had like I don't know 300 one-star things like, why are you sending me messages through Messenger? And like we had a warning from Facebook and all that stuff. And we have like, not as many as you, but probably like 17,000 or whatever Messenger ones. And we'd send out like a Messenger push, and we were getting 87 to 90% opens and click-throughs.
Well, just real quick, I've never actually sold them anything on Messenger. I just give them free
We
stuff.
were sending them to a free live training and stuff on whatever, how to, you know, keep your teeth healthy or something.
There was so many ways that people got into Messenger that they didn't know. That's why
Right,
they
that's
were
what it
upset.
seemed
That's
like.
what they were upset about. I don't know the details,
Yeah,
but
no, I mean, but is there a way to kind of like,
clean it up.
yeah,
You could send one message to get them to unsubscribe if they don't want it.
gotcha,
go up
just
front.
someone
Yeah.
say, hey,
You're better off having 4,000 people give a
sure, yeah, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense then, okay. And then the other one, more around culture.
yes.
So as we're right around 35 to 40 people on our team. And
Yes.
Since we make everything, ship
Yep.
it, do all
Yep,
our
of course.
media in-house and all that. What, I mean, I see some people, you know, we have, you know, on our team, I guess, what's the best way to create a good culture where people are, like, watching your team, and when I came up before, I mean, just seeing how your team interacts and stuff.
I think as small as 35 people, you should have dinner with every single employee
Okay.
and ask them what makes them happy in life.
Okay,
Because you have employees, of those 35, you have some people that want to make $2 more an hour.
sure,
You want somebody who wants more Saturdays off. You want somebody who wants to be a manager now. You have somebody who was happy yesterday, but they fell in love and now they need more time at home. More money, title, work-life balance. Rick, you'll find out if you interview 35 people that there's something weird going on with Rick, and you may have to fire Rick. You know, and so when I hear about companies that have under 50 employees, I can't push them enough to do, you know, the one-on-one hand-to-hand combat.
yeah, no, okay.
That's the answer.
Yeah, we started doing, like 6 months ago, like a monthly visionary meeting with the team.
It's good.
We call out, like, hey, you know.
It's good.
And so,
But
yeah, I like
but
that
all,
one-on-one.
the one-on-one is where you can start building on the third meeting, on the one-on-one, Susan will actually tell you about Rick, because in the first one they won't.
Right, yeah.
You have to build a relationship.
What's the cadence of those meetings?
The smaller the company, the more often you can do it, you know? Mine are like, I text you at 11:30 at night when I'm flying back from something and be like, yo, and we're like, I'm not kidding, he'll tell you, like whenever I can get to it, kind of like I'm trying so hard, you know?
Cool.
Genuinely don't know where to start.
Yep.
But I'm at a different point than a lot
Yep.
of the people here.
Yep.
Just taking over, and in fact, some of the content I was really resonating with from you specifically was not just stepping in and taking control of any one thing. So I'm in the mode I was talking to Nick, of just kind of freezing everything to kind of
Taste.
observe and taste. Yep.
Which, how many employees are there?
Well, it ranges because we have a lot of front of house people.
Yep.
Anywhere between 30 and 40.
Which you can't imagine how much equity that builds with the 30 to 40. And you've been around the whole time, just like I was, but it's still gonna be amazing.
Yeah. So, and to give you some context, I pay myself as little as possible.
Yep.
I flip on the weekends. It's actually
Amazing.
but
What do you flip?
everything in it.
Like literally,
Now,
literally that garage, like yard, like that stuff?
Yeah.
What's the best, I'm sorry, I'm so obsessed. What's the best thing,
Raining in Oregon right now.
I know, what's the best thing you found this last 6 months?
I found an antique dining set, and
How much did you buy it for?
I bought it for just under 200,
And what you sell for?
a little over 800.
I love that so much, man. I like live on this. Keep going.
Pretty cool. Anyway, so something that I deal with, we were hit super hard during the crash, 2007, 2008.
Okay,
We lost over 50% of our business.
Yep.
And, you know, my mom was
freaking out.
not in a good
Yeah.
space.
Yep.
She was getting divorced at the time, actually.
Yep.
Um,
So how the business is now structured with you taking over is everything. It's the entire conversation. Because the reality is, you need, like, do you have the full autonomy or don't you? Do you to a point, but blank? Like, these were the things that really helped it get better and better and better for me and my dad. At first it was gray as shit. And then as things would spur up, especially when I had momentum, you don't even understand how it actually plays out yet, because you'll taste it. When you start doing a couple things and it starts working, and then she tries to stop it, it's even worse than not starting at all. Like once I started tasting momentum, anything that my dad would try to bring to defense felt completely inappropriate because I'm like, it's working. And look, I don't want to paint a false picture. My dad gave me outrageous levels of autonomy in hindsight, and really, unfortunately, the only issues we really had were some just hot button issues that he was, like, there was 4 things he was religious about, and I was religious the other way. I mean, the one I just keep laughing, like, he just did not want to sell product to our employees at cost. That was to him like, I don't know, he couldn't get over it. And I was like, so into it. Like, I wanted to sell at a loss to our employees, you know, like, it was a real battle. And never, actually probably, the reason I probably bring it up, it's the one battle that never really got settled in our careers. So I think a couple things you need to think about. One, having empathy for the fact that your mom spent so many years building this business, which I can even sense. I think you need to map what are her, so let me take a step back. This taking over phase, is she looking for you to make all the decisions?
Yeah, that's her goal. She really enjoys working with the couples, bride and grooms.
Yes.
Because she just likes that touch point.
Yes.
But
everything else.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
You've been punched in the mouth so
Yep.
many times, it's not even funny. So it kind of weighs heavy on her. But coming from that, it's hard to spend money, especially on such a personal heavy business for her, because it's, you know, there's things that have to happen in her mind before she is okay with something.
And you're saying spending money as in like investing in the business, whether in advertising or something like that?
Or overhiring. You know, I know you talked about this with, I think your dad on a podcast recently. Overhire, you were overstaffed in some times of the business. So
Does your mom have a sense of how much she wants, or you guys, like, to me what allowed me to overhire was me and my dad had a good sense of what we both wanted to make in salary, and then basically after that, I could make no money at all. So that's why I overhired. It's similar to what I'm doing here.
yeah.
You know, like, I'm not looking for this to be the money I need to take home, thus I'm pouring it in. So I think the key that I'm trying to get into is what's real and what's ideology and emotion. What I was very good at in hindsight, I didn't even realize I was doing it as a kid, was I was eliminating subjectiveness and emotion, because my dad lived on emotional reactions, and I got us over time to a lot of conversations that were, you know, after like crying and yelling, I got us into like, you know, it took me a while, but then I just remember these feelings even right now as I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, how much money, like, do not subject me. Do not like opinion of the month, flavor of the month. It rained yesterday, or we had a snow out day, and now you're overreacting to the fact that we did 0 yesterday instead of 80,000, and now you're not letting me run a New York Times ad. Take me to the macro. How much money do you need to make in salary? Cool, now get out of my way. I will deliver on that, and if I don't, then let's have a combo. Basically is this sentence that we got to that really allowed us to explode.
We actually just had that conversation.
It's great. And did it go well?
It went really well.
Good.
We meet very regularly.
Great, yeah, I talk to my dad every day. Like we were like,
Yeah, if I don't see her, it's usually.
right, we were in the store, so I would talk to him all the time, and that was really what made it difficult, because again, like, somebody would steal a bottle of Jack Daniels, and my dad would just emotionally explode, and it would like tear out the next 3 days. You know, like all the energy and angst was like, we have to stop everything and figure out how not to get anybody to steal. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we're gonna focus on $28, and cool, I'll do you a favor. We're probably getting $500 worth of stuff stolen a month, and you want me to stop everything that's generating $4 million. That would literally be the kind of things.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like, there's many people that build businesses are completely predicated on emotion, ideology. Every fashion brand loses because they care too much about subjective emotion.
Well, and something that I am doing more and more is actually catering meals for vineyards in the area.
Mm-hmm.
They're a huge driver of business for us.
Of course,
Partner.
B2B, sure.
And it's working. But then when I try to go into kind of the jabbing type of content, that's a little harder for her to understand. However, we've had those conversations. So, but yeah.
Over communication, which it sounds like you're leaning into, and then when something's either ideology or emotion, grounding it in something so practical and gives you the framework, and then having the one thing that I did you know, there's something I'm very passionate about right now, which is that fake environments, that kids are taking money from parents and building businesses and nobody's acknowledging it. And it got me down this interesting path where I realized, oh, the kids of this generation are taking money from parents and don't think they need to pay them back. And the kids from our generation, and definitely older than us, the game was your parents would help you, but you had to pay them back. And something in that is just sticking with me that I haven't, fully got to something, but it's kind of where I'm going right now, which is like I said to my dad, I'm like, look, I'm willing to listen to everything you say if I'm unable to deliver on what I'm telling you I can deliver on if you give me this room. Like, to me, like, there should be consequences if you're not good enough. And I think I'm seeing a lot of people want certain things from their parents in a family business, but aren't willing to deal with the ramifications because there's so much audacity coming from kids going into businesses. It sounds like you're not that, which excites me, which makes me want you to lean in, but don't get too crazy. So like I in hindsight don't realize I was like, I was delusional, but I was so driven that I made it happen. But I think that matters. Cool, dudes.
Yeah, so I kind of already know the
Yep.
answer to our problem.
I know you do. So like what subtlety underneath that might be a good
exactly.
Like let me give you a good example. You should have an intern who DMs influencers until the account gets blocked on 40 different accounts all day long, every day for life.
Completely agreed. And do that.
Good.
Including sedans.
But like you heard the last part, you're gonna regret it, do it.
Agreed.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like if you don't have at least one person at minimum wage who's just a scrappy kid who this kid had a board on his head. No, but I mean, this is super important. This is what people don't understand. This 3 years ago, good. 3 years ago, you got paid how much by that mattress or Subway or whatever?
It was 15 an hour, and I was in like outfits.
Right.
Literally goofy outfits.
But in him had the ability to go from zero to build $2 million revenue business. You're in Boulder. There's unlimited up there who like can work for 13 hours a day or whatever is appropriate and legal, because Boulder, it might be 2 hours a day. I don't know how you guys do it, but like you should have 3 people.
Absolutely. And then another
You know what I mean? Because we all say we do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, to your
I
point,
do.
we do have it,
Tell me the truth,
focusing
on a very serious note, on a true question. Do you have one person who fully spends 10 hours a day DMing until he's blocked or she's blocked on 13 accounts?
There's probably one person that does that like 4 hours a day.
Great.
Every day.
How big is your business in revenue?
Couple million.
You should have 3 full-time people at minimum wage doing it.
Yeah.
It's the influencer version of you're gonna be upset that Facebook went away.
Mm-hmm.
What if they change the DM rules? Let me rephrase. What happens when they change the DM rules?
Oh, I know. I mean, I've been thinking about that every day. I love the DM. I basically every single time somebody follows us, do the bot thing and send them coupons, and like people give a positive response because I'll go back in and then engage, so it doesn't just seem like a bot, and engage that conversation.
How do they see it if
That
it goes
totally
to
helps.
other? How do they see that? How do they see those?
Also, too, what do you mean by different?
People
accounts?
check their
Like,
other.
I do one, like, I check the other.
People check their other.
But not everyone.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not everybody does anything.
Right.
It's just math.
Yeah, you're right.
Like this is
Send out more and more and more.
the whole game is scaling the unscalable. Everybody's looking in this tech world to find the scalable thing. The magic's in the unscalable part. We're building part of like our wine business that if you buy the club, there's a SMS sommelier service that you get, which is like literally like you go to a nice, restaurant in Cleveland and take a picture and be like, what wine should I drink? And me included at first, we're gonna tell you. I'm gonna look at the picture and be like, the late Harvest Zinfandel with your dessert would be great. I scale the unscalable. Guys, every single piece of written word on Twitter and Instagram is me. If I've ever DM'd you, if I've ever replied, if I've ever hearted yours, that's me. I scale the unscalable. I'm as busy as they get. So I'm definitely not crying tears for anybody else.
Definitely. And then, from a B2B side, our main business has been selling food to grocery stores, but now we're in this position where we have a semi-established brand name, semi-trusted name in our space.
Right.
And so CBD is obviously becoming a very big thing. It's becoming $1 billion industry very rapidly. So now everybody's trying to figure out, like, hey, how do I incorporate CBD into my product? I've popcorn or a lemonade. And so we've got into that position where everybody's asking us. And so
Yep.
we've kind of reversed it, because what we do is, we source from Native American farmers. It's very good practices. The genetics are very good. So we've kind of built this little niche.
Yeah.
And now we're leveraging that niche on other brands. So we have some of the largest CPG companies in the world in salty snacks and ready-to-drink beverages saying, hey, we want to buy your CBD because it's a semi-trusted, no name in the category.
Love it.
Put your logo on the back of the packaging, try to build the intel of the hemp space.
Couldn't believe in it more.
Perfect.
Yeah, and so we're trying to get them to put a little excerpt like, hey, we trust in Evo Hemp.
I would literally pay for those brands to put my logo on it, let alone get paid.
Right? That's what we've been saying. I mean, some of our investors are like, are they going to pay you?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, no, we want to pay them.
And
Couldn't agree more.
all we have to do is give them 10% discount too. It's like the easiest.
It's absurd. You should spend all your time and energy on it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we were to your point. We're trying to hire 1 to 2 full-time people to literally just focus on that.
You need, who owns the business?
Us.
Two of us.
You need to make as little money as possible for the next 36 months.
We've
Good.
we didn't start taking. We've been doing this for 6 years. We didn't start taking a salary until last year. So.
Give it back. Moments in time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like, obviously, like, I don't know your life. You may have debt. I don't know. But it's little. By the way, everybody, that's the advice. That's how you build a business. That's how you build a business. You got to feed your business, not buy a new pair of Supremes. That's just what everybody does. And, Supreme or a house or, the great mistake of my career was buying an apartment 6 months before I could have invested in Uber and doubled down on Facebook. Like, it made me less liquid. Lost a lot of money. I was a grown man. I was had a child. Like it's not terrible, but like, I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to recommend one day people. I actually starting to get weird about ever owning a house. I think nobody should own I'm starting to really believe that nobody should own a home until they're 40.
What about a car?
Nope. I don't think anybody should spend money. If they have actual business ambition, if they want to build a business, for real, not I want to create a business to give me money to, then you should extract your money. Like, there's a lot of people that build businesses to get a wave runner, to buy an RV, to like stay at the Ritz-Carlton, and that's fine. You're not building a business, you're trying to create a machine to kick you cash. The problem with that is it always becomes vulnerable in the end and then dies. And then that's why people go backwards. It's so funny, this kid grabbed me at the airport. Were you with me? Yeah, it's the second time I'm telling you, I'm really fascinated by it. This kid runs up to me, he's like, GaryVee, I'm like, all right, let's take a selfie. He's like, gotta really talk to you though. He goes, it was really sweet. It was I just loved his vibe. I was like, this is so meant to be that we met. He's like, I'm from Ontario. I just came down here, I'm flying back home. I just got super ripped off. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I literally had all my bar mitzvah money and what my grandma left me, and I lost it all. Somebody just scammed all of it from me. I'm like, how much? He's like, $60,000. So it's really interesting what happened in that moment. I looked him dead in the face and I said, that's what happens when you try to make a quick dollar. And he goes, how'd you know? And I'm like, you can't get scammed of $60,000 unless you're trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
You just can't. You bought into some because you thought 60 was gonna be 600,000 in a week. And that always loses. That's the most extreme version, but where I get worried, and I know nothing about you, like where I get worried about kids making some money early on is the less extreme version is you're taking money off the table and you're just living that lifestyle. When for 50% of those kids, if they poured it back in, they could really live that lifestyle forever. If they just ate for 6 more years and built something for real, Yes.
Sorry, I just have one more question.
Yep.
So I know you've said focus on the Instagram DMs, and as you know, we can't do the traditional advertising
That's right.
marketing. Is that really the main way that we're
I think
gonna get the
podcast
same
pre-roll.
amount of growth?
I think podcast pre-roll is really good. I would hit up, email every single podcast like that you think maps in any shape, let's be creative. I'm obsessed with influencers for you guys, and then fully having your own podcast and your own vlog, being a media company. Yep, that's where you're at now.
Cool. Just want to make sure.
Yep. Yep.
For us, LinkedIn video content has been the game changer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because specifically the audience is grocery buyers.
And look, I think there's a way for you to build a personal brand about being an entrepreneur and what you've learned, and just letting that halo affect your business. There's plenty of people that want to, I mean, what are you guys doing here, right? Like, you can halo it to your actual business. You know, you gotta be very clever, but if you make it more about you and not the business, like no reference to even the business, people will Google. You put out a good video of like how you ate for 6 years, and like it does well, people find out who you are. They'll go to Google, they'll figure out what company you work for. So there's ways to run media as a huge, you see where I'm going?
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what we're trying to
Do.
focus more on
Yeah.
is, you know, the
Paid
personal
speaking
story
stuff,
between
just
us.
speaking for free, and then we're slowly starting to get paid for it. So.
I've heard of the concept.
So just to piggyback off of building a business, I mean, I've been at it for 18 years now, so one taco at a time, opened up like 2000, and then just kind of grew it from there, 13 shops in New Jersey. Just took it on the road, went down to Florida, opened up down there, we got one down there.
So cliche, Jersey.
Yeah, right.
Jersey,
Gotta-
Florida. Makes me
gotta
so
go where
happy.
they are, right? So, dipped my toes into franchising like 12 years ago.
Okay.
I got one franchisee. And then I was just kind of pulled back on that. I just want to kind of build the company that way. But now I'm looking at like the next 18 years, you know, and like how do I stay relevant? How do I scale, growth?
What do you want to happen?
I just want to take the brand to its potential.
The game of it.
The game of it. I love the game of it. Like my life's
I mean,
pretty good. you
yeah.
know?
So then I think franchisee at this point, you being this grounded and mature is a good debate. It's a good debate.
Right.
If you want the game of it. And to me, when I hear the game of it, after anybody who's been in business for 18 years is a successful entrepreneur. You know, like the amount of people who like make a lot and then lose it, like being an entrepreneur, saying you're an entrepreneur versus being a successful one is completely predicated on life cycle to me, in one man's point of view. The game of it gets into the vanity of it. I watch my dad do it. I watch, with my fame or local fame or internet fame, it's been interesting to see my dad go from caring less about money and caring more about the game. Actually, that's actually not fair. My dad always cared more about the power and influence in his industry than like being bigger than other stores. It was like being the king of like big fish in a small pond was his passion. The ultimate game of it is becoming McDonald's,
I
and
struggle with just the customer though, like I'm only as good as the last taco, and if I have a franchisee that's serving a bad product, like that's on me.
here's the good news. You're an operator. You don't have 14 stores and not being an operator. You just change your agenda of operation to making sure that Nick Dio, when he opens up his shop in Little Egg Harbor or Delaware or whatever, stays on point. Your operations change. It's like becoming a manager, right? You know this. You were the guy serving the tacos in store one. You don't do that as much. You managed over time, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now you're just managing something else. Right. Like you could have a 6-month course to like get through to like you could spend a year picking franchisees. Right. Franchisees fail because they want the money. Right. If it's your baby and the way you've built it, I already know that I think franchisees is the right conversation for you. I'll tell you why. I just think you're going to be outrageously thoughtful with your first 10. How many employees do you have that have worked for you for longer than 5 years?
50.
Can I give you a huge piece of advice? Any way that you can put some of them on, you can't imagine what that can do for you. And I don't know what you've spent your money on, how successful you've been. Even if you can afford to put one guy or gal up, or you can go to characters like me, like successful Jersey businessmen, and be like, yo, I'm making it up. This is just being creative. I'm starting a sponsorship program for my franchisee. If you actually came, and we have had some lightweight interact on social and things like that, like if you came to me and said, yo, weird, but you just seem like, I've heard you're this kind of guy, would you go into business 50-50 with an employee of mine who has no money but's been with me for 6 years, and you can own 50%, but you have to put up all the money? I gotta tell you, I'd probably do one. It's a version of business charity. We need to have new things. Like, why do I just have business and then sometimes I just write big checks on things that I'm emotional about? Like, Like, you can get me real fast too. You give me a little video on Susan or Hector or Johnny or Rick, and they've been, you know, their parents died and they work for you for $7 an hour, and I'm like, I'm in. I mean, when you have 50 people that are, like, how many people do you think that work for you right now could elevate and actually own their own version of a store? For real,
like
for real.
20.
You need to do it, brother. That's what you should do.
I can't wait to go to the store.
Because that will work and you know it. It's why I love all these little, it's context. You can show me somebody who's better on paper, but we know each other. Right? You can show you somebody who's run 13 successful Burger Kings, but you know exactly who Susan is. And then you don't have to worry about the taco not being good.
Right.
You both win.
Right. That's good.
I know. It will work.
Yeah.
The best thing that, the reason I'm a good businessman is because I play outside the framework. That's what being a bad student is so comping to being good entrepreneurs. It was easy for me to come at, I've never thought of that concept, but it was so easy for me after I even listened to 6 seconds because I got enough context to ideate on an idea that is specific. And that's why this stuff has been so fun for me, because I can put out content that's, you know, evergreen all day long, but it's in the nuances. Like, it's so, like, you know, like, I'm so, like, want you to dig into the thing, like, that's not scalable, you know? Because you're not gonna be able to change the inherent nature of a one-off product. There's no scalability in a one-off. What's scalable is you can meet 7 people a day for a coffee, and if your content and web does that, you're probably, you know, you're gonna close 2 of the, you get them to dinner.
If they come to the studio, we close.
Well, guess what? You take them to dinner, you'll close even more.
Is it relevant? You're like 20 years out, fast casual? I mean,
Food is always gonna be okay. You know, QSR and fast casual and whatever the trend of the moment is, make a good taco for the right price, you'll be all right.
Forever.
Especially,
Not acai.
you know, yeah, I think that's right. And by the way, acai may, like, a lot of people have said that about things that did stick, right? And other things didn't, right, to that point. But if you just look at the basic Latino, you know, influence on America, your grandkids are gonna be fine on that specific food. Tacos are gonna be just fine. And acai may become the new taco thing, or may not, but you're exactly right.
I got a question about, so, you know, building a brand with content and stuff. What do you think about using, like, so I've been doing this thing where I'm hitting up like hundreds of YouTubers, getting them to use my stuff. I'm like, dude, just do whatever you do, just use our stuff while you're doing it, and we'll give it away for free.
Of course, product placement.
Yeah, so what do you think about using like all of them to then run ads from
Yes.
their Facebook pages
Yes.
to the audience to watch
Yes,
for us?
but you should probably be upfront with them, because you're one blog post away of, like, you used me.
Okay.
Like, somebody did that with me that came to a 4Ds, and that was not a good situation for that person. You know, if you're, remember intent? Yo, what's great about why that's worked? Yo, dog, I'll give you something, and you just use it. I want that exposure, you want the for free. Bet. I then run ads against fans, and fans are hitting me up and saying, yo, did you like what?
Yeah.
Then the person feels like you got them.
I actually think they like it though, because they get thousands of dollars pumped into their content.
So now I don't disagree with you, but 50% of them will like it. So you say it up front and you're in a much better place.
And do you think it's a vulnerability relying on like a mass content strategy of
No.
other people doing it?
No, I
rather
do
than
not.
Yourself?
No, I do not.
Because I just
It worked out for Nike.
Okay, gotcha. Because me and my partner, we're not in the music like doing that every single day now. We're at the point to where we got to
I got
the
it.
business strategy.
I got
a
it.
lot more,
Yep.
You know?
Of course. I think you're fine with that.
Gotcha.
I think you're fine with that. I think you're siphoning attention and then you become the thing.